smell it. They smell so good. This one is Forever Raspberry. Yes, I unwrapped it. Oh my god, these smell so good. I love them. Especially when you have them sit out for hours and they're just diffusing. And you have... They're like, yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they're like these pods. What was it? Well, oh, shoot. I think I need, walls. And overweight. Oh, wow, I can actually carry some stuff. Yep, that tree just finished me off. Okay, nice. I need door. And there's... Is that a tree right there? No, it's not. There's a tree over there. And go. Get the thatch. And go back to where my things are. Pick that up. And now go back. I need reinforced windows. You know what? I have a bunch of extra stone. Can I please make stairs? Crap, stairs. I don't have that. I would. Got it. Smack! Dude, okay. Wyatt, are you still listening to me? I have a very good tip. So, you're broke. You don't have any money to send out to get more quarters. Yeah, I'm actually gonna wait for you to come back. That way I tell you. I have a really almost flawless way to get quarters. To get brand new quarters while not going to the bank. It's a very, very tight way to get quarters. December 19th. Yeah, great news. By the way, an entire year of like your school, basically, or a normal school, is condensed down to half a year. So on November and December, I think is when my term ends. The pro is that I don't have to. I have. It's way shorter. It goes way faster. Con is that there's a lot of material packed into that short amount of time. Ah, shoot. I put the wrong spot in the wrong spot in the wrong. Well, we'll just have to build brand new. So we can pick these bad boys up. Alright. Door frame. Now. I can craft 2 of them. Whew, that's great. I'm gonna build a shacky shack. If you ever wonder what happens if you keep smashing rocks and you just don't stop, your torpor will go up and you'll knock yourself out. Like now I want a window frame. Did we just make window frame? Window frame. Yeah, so I need some wood. Bad problem is the rock I'm needing is gonna start disappearing. Alrighty, I'm gonna position myself really close to this tree. Okay, window frames on it. Need 4 of those. Either I need more wood. Yeah, I need more wood. Okay, now I need more. I need one more of these frames. It takes a while for this bad boy to start coming into effect, but when it gets to effect, like when I get home tonight, I'll probably all smell like raspberry. I will play tonight. So our goal today is, yeah, I want to go adventuring, but you know what? I'm stupid. I have never built an actual. Actually, I have. I built only a few structures in this game. Not because I can't build in this game. It's because I don't like what's it called. I focus on a lot of the other stuff. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of inspiration from this build. But I saw this guy who built this house on ARK, and it was pretty cool. He had like stone at the bottom and wood at the top and thatch at the very roof. I want to do that design. Alright, now we got our base done. So our foundation has been set. Now we need to go out and go get some wood. I don't know if I really want to like do that or if I want to go and I don't know if I want to go higher. I don't want to go high. So I need triangle ceilings. I need thatch for those now. We're gonna need 10 of those. 2 more. Okay, so we should have 9 of those. Now let's proceed to walk to the next tree and start beating it down. Huh. Ugh. Yeah, I'd say I want to go up above. I want to go one more block. Because I want the big... I could do the... I could cut it off right there. Okay, so I want... Let's see, 1, 2 walls. Let's see, so 4 windows, 2 walls. Plus 4. So that's 6 walls. Plus 2, so that's 8 walls. Plus 4 windows, so I guess... 8 windows, 8 walls? Let's keep that on the burner. I would... I'm just afraid of, like, I don't want it to be, like, 2 stone and, like, 1 wood. I think I might just extend the top. I want the big stuff. I want the big boxes, because then I won't have... Oh, it's obvious. More storage. Okay. Okay, so 8 windows. Let's do the 8. Let's do 8 walls, because 8 walls are expensive. Parasaurs. I think, in my opinion, Parasaur is a pretty decent first tame. It's okay damage. It's really good speed. Okay damage. Okay health. It's not gonna take a T-Rex down. Maybe a trike if you're lucky enough. Maybe. But somewhat of a balanced dinosaur, in my opinion. Alright. So 8 walls, right? I need 2 more. Now I need 8 window frames. Man, that's a lot easier to craft those. I really wanted to tame that, like, the armadillo dude. But again, can you really blame me when there's a bunch of things like an alpha island again? I will say this, I sound like a broken record, but I like this island so much. You don't have to worry about anything. As long as you don't attack the creatures, they won't attack you. That's not too hard. So they get in your freaking way. There's probably a way I can... Let's see, 76. I might be stupid. Well, that's a compound bow right there. Over this rock. Oh god, that's a brontosaurus egg, isn't it? The big boy. That was, dude, those eggs are bigger than me. What did I just attack? Oh shoot, I got attacked by the big boy. Listen man, you're in the way. Is he cool? Listen dude, I don't mean any harm towards you. That is so ironic. I swear, I did not script that. I did not plan that. That is ironic. I say, until they get in the way. And suddenly, stupid gets in the way. Oh god. The last thing I need today is a brontosaurus raiding my freaking base. Because it's not like they're overly aggressive, but when if you make them mad, they will end you. They will completely murk you. And the most disliked part about them is that they have a stupid hitbox, so you can only hit them on accident very, very easily. Especially the tail, if it flaps and you hit it on accident, that's what causes the problem. $35 exact stone. Of course, I'll need 8 of these. I really don't want to kill the brontosaurus because they're friendly. The last thing I need is a dinosaur that levels things with a hobby. That can level things if it really doesn't have a bad day. Killing me because I accidentally, like, did something stupidly insignificant towards it. And yes, I know I'm walking slow, but I don't care. I'm gonna get my stuff to where it needs to be, you know? So glad it just randomly stopped attacking. It's like, I don't want to kill them. These things are fast AF in water. That's a great note. Don't take those things on in water. Just like the other. Oh my god, it's swimming. How is he getting in the water? Dude, I'm so thankful that she's actually alive. God darn it. It's not even my bad Ankylosaurus. It's my good Ankylosaurus. How is she getting in the water? I have so many girls. I have a female Ankly, a female Trike, a female Castroides, a female Textic. There's only like one male. He's not on following either, or wandering, or whatever the hell. Block? Oh yeah, block. Now, I'm doing like probably 3 times as better as I was in the last playthrough. I think it took me like, what, 60 episodes to even get to like the swamps and the metal. I'm on like episode 11, I think. And I'm at day 25. This is very good for me. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8. And perfect. That's why measuring things is imperative. Okay, now I could... Wait, can I go back like this? Okay, I'm actually gonna try to see if I can line it up. I'm gonna practice that. Hey, Castroides, whatever your name is. I remember once my tech teacher had a question. You're not going to believe what question it was. It was, how much wood can a woodchucker chuck? A woodchucker could chuck wood. It was like 1,841 or something? I'm like, what? We're in tech class. Why are we doing this? I mean, I'm not. Oh my god. Stop. Cancel. Oh. Now I just wasted my wood. Well, I mean, it's a dirt cheap resource. That's just annoying at this point. God darn it. But yeah, but the wood could have. Will it even build like to the? It won't even build the other way. At least I can scrap them, right? Okay. If I'm not wrong. Yeah, there we go. I can build. Yeah, I can build from that, and then I can. So far, so freaking good. God, I can hear. Well, it's rather running in the background. I need thatch. I know I should be using my girl. I don't know why I should say my girl. I really shouldn't say it because, not that it's inappropriate, it's because I have a lot of girls in terms of dinosaurs or in creatures. Okay, so I have about 2 hours. I don't know if I'll be able to go explore. No, we're gonna build the house. This is gonna be a good house. This is gonna be like the complete wooden shack. No, we're gonna do something. We're gonna do this in a special way. Okay, so now we're gonna do the other side. Now we're gonna do the triangles. Now the thatch will not work for the triangles, but will not work for the end triangle things that I have. But the great thing is my plan is to use the triangle parts. Those are gonna be like little like porches. And ladders, perfect. My God, this is going good. This is actually going very, very well. I'm gonna be so proud of myself. Build that for later. Hey, my girl leveled up. Again. Don't know if I should say my girl because I have like, what, 4 female dinosaurs and 1 male? Like, bruh. By the way, that sound you just made is literally what my beaver sounds like. Almost to a point. You sound like beaver. There we go, I got the ceiling all built. Oh, that's gonna be freaking annoying. Come on, Debs, please. Okay, now I need, as I said before, yeah, it's gonna go that. Now I need, no, that's just how mouse works. Now we got the roof of this. What? Now, if I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure I have these walls on my raft stored somewhere. There they are. Hopefully I can carry them. Oh my God! Oh, she's following. I thought that was an ankle. I'm about to say if that's an ankle, I'm gonna be so irate. Oh shoot. I might need more fiber. Not a big problem. Let's see. Can I craft any more window frames? Oh yeah, I can, but I just need thatch probably. Let's see. I need hatch or something. Thatch. What are you doing? That's basically it. Or you're like me and you're an absolute jerk and you shove people off until they die. You know how much I love doing that? That is funny. I love being a jerk and just shoving people off. Oh crap, the logs are facing in. Don't worry. Not wrong, all I gotta do is just go here. Oh, and I have two. Convenient. Okay, that side's done. Oh, God, these chairs being annoying. I'm just throwing this thing up like a freaking crew of Amish people. Man, Wyatt, I'm kicking some butt. Oh, whoops, wrong dino. Wrong animal. I have no fiber. You know what they should do to the game? They should actually add it and say that, like, when you're getting hungry. And then, like, kind of like Subnautica, like if you get hungry in Subnautica, basically it says you need to eat. Like, yeah, you stupid loser, you need to eat. I need water. Okay, now I'm gonna go on the outside. Be careful, because thing is, you can place the structures where structures already exist, and if you do that, it'll destroy the previous structure and place the one you were placing. So basically, like it'll select like pre-snapped areas, and if you're unlucky, it'll just completely obliterate whatever you had. Ah, crap, I'm stupid. I don't need 6 railings. I needed 8. Why is this one all like a jar? There it goes. Okay, girl, I need some wood. 43. That don't know if that's enough to. Actually, let's go get that railing I cracked. You can hear my mom just running downstairs. This beaver collects wood like double the rate if you just use any other tool. Just so nice. I think I need to get Yeah, I'm here. Alright, guys. Well, you might want to pay attention to this. Are you taking history? Are you in like a history class or anything? Yes. Yes, you. Not to what? When did your homeschool thing start? I thought it already started. Oh my god. Alright, well, you might want to remember this, because this actually is great. Alright.
Portraits of African Americans during Reconstruction. This 1876 painting captures the yearning of two women who, even with the end of slavery, are still picking cotton.
Yes, I'm sorry.
From the beginning of the Civil War, the North fought to reconstruct the Union. Lincoln at first attempted to restore the Union as it had existed before 1861, but once the abolition of slavery became a Northern war aim, the Union could never be reconstructed on its old foundations. Instead, it must experience a new birth of freedom, as Lincoln had said at the dedication of the military cemetery at Gettysburg. But precisely what did a new birth of freedom mean? At the very least, it meant the end of slavery. The slave states would be reconstructed on a free labor basis. But what would liberty look like for the 4 million freed slaves? Would they become citizens equal to their former masters in the eyes of the law? Would they have the right to vote? Should Confederate leaders and soldiers be punished for treason? On what terms should the Confederate States return to the Union? What would be the powers of the states and of the national government in a reconstructed Union? Chronology. Details. A table.
Chronology.
Titled Chronology. The table has 15 rows and 2 columns. The columns have the following headings from left to right. Year. Event. The row entries are as follows. Row 1. Year. 1863. Event. Lincoln issues proclamation of amnesty and Reconstruction. Row 2. Year. 1864. Event. Congress passes Wade Davis bill. Lincoln kills it by pocket veto. Row 3. Year. 1865. Event. Congress establishes Freedmen's Bureau. Andrew Johnson becomes president, announces his Reconstruction plan. Southern states enact black codes. Congress refuses to cede
Oh, they're just salty that black people actually had power.
Row 4. Year. 1866.
That just goes to show, even before the age of modern, even before the modern age, America always focused on bigotry before progress. Like, bro, like, just let it go. Let it go, bro. Like, honestly. Oh no, somebody who's not white's in office. Oh, big scary. Oh no. Like, God, I'll look at what people's problems were back then. We could have probably gotten way more stuff done if we just focused on doing something else except for hating another group of society. They're basically nothing. And it's annoying because what happened is back then, these people used to go across, they used to immigrate into our country, and they would literally offer to work, which is great because working is great. It increases jobs, increases the economy. It's really good for society. And we said, no, we don't like you. Get away.
Race riots in Memphis and New Orleans. Congress approves 14th Amendment. Republicans increase congressional majority in fall elections. Row 5. Year. 1867. Event. Congress passes Reconstruction Acts over Johnson's vetoes. Congress passes Tenure of Office Act over Johnson's veto. Row 6. Year. 1868. Event. Most Southern senators and representatives readmitted to Congress under Congressional Plan of Reconstruction. Andrew Johnson impeached but not convicted. Ulysses S. Grant elected president. 14th Amendment is ratified.
He's on the $20 bill, if I'm not wrong.
Year. 1870. Event. 15th Amendment is ratified. Row 8. Year. 1871. Event. Congress passes Ku Klux Klan Act. Row 9. Year.
Those guys are creepy as hell.
Event. Liberal Republicans defect from party. Grant wins re-election. Row 10. Year. 1873. Event. Economic depression begins with the Panic of 1873. Row 11. Year. 1874. Event. Democrats win control of House of Representatives. Row 12. Year 1875. Event: Democrats implement Mississippi Plan. Congress passes Civil Rights Act. Row
How
13.
many civil rights acts are there?
Year
God.
1876. Event: Centennial Celebration in Philadelphia.
Centennial.
Disputed presidential election causes constitutional crisis. Row 14. Year 1877. Event: Compromise of 1877 installed Rutherford Hayes as president. Hayes withdraws troops from South. Row 15. Year 1883. Event: Supreme Court declares Civil Rights Act of 1875 unconstitutional.
Oh, whatever. Wartime Reconstruction.
(17-1) Wartime Reconstruction. Q. What plans for Reconstruction did Lincoln consider during the war? Lincoln pondered these problems long and hard. At first, he feared that whites in the South would never extend equal rights to the freed slaves. After all, even most northern states were denying full civil equality to the few black people within their borders. In 1862, Lincoln encouraged freed people to emigrate to all-black countries such as Haiti, where they would have a chance to get ahead without having to face the racism of whites. Black leaders, abolitionists, and many Republicans objected to that policy. Blacks were Americans. Why should they not have the rights of American citizens instead of being urged to leave the country?
Home of the free land of the
Lincoln
brave.
eventually embraced the logic and justice of that view. But in beginning the process of Reconstruction, he first reached out to Southern whites whose allegiance to the
Confederates are the
was
stupidest group of people in the United States. They actively divided our country and completely ripped a hole into our economy. Like, bro, in my opinion, one of the biggest economic and moral downfalls of the United States is definitely the civil rights movement. Not the freedom part, it's the bigotry part. Like, they literally built separate schools for different races. That's just a big waste of money. Like, instead of building one school for everybody, you gotta divide everybody into two schools. Now you have to spend double the money for a stupid cause. That just goes to show bigotry doesn't do anything for you except for just cause more stupidity, basically. Like, there is no good reasoning for that bullcrap. Okay.
On December 8,
Plus, the people that have the quote Confederate flag, like the flag with the blue stripes with stars on it, that's not the Confederate flag, stupid. That's the Virginia coat of arms during the Confederate soldier era. By the way, you know what's funny about the Confederacy? They had to change their flag multiple times because it was just white, and white flags represent surrender. So they get our soldiers would get confused, like the Union soldiers would get confused that they were surrendering, but they're not because their flag was so poorly designed. They had to change it like 3 times. What a joke. I finished my house.
Lincoln issued his proclamation of amnesty and reconstruction, which offered a presidential pardon to Southern whites who took an oath of allegiance to the United States and accepted the abolition of slavery. In any state where the number of white males aged 21 or older who took this oath equaled 10% of the number of voters in 1860, that nucleus could re-establish a state government to which Lincoln promised presidential recognition. Because the war was still raging, this policy could be carried out only where Union troops controlled substantial portions of a Confederate state, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Tennessee in early 1864. Nevertheless, Lincoln hoped that once the process had begun in those areas, it might snowball as Union military victories convinced more and more Confederates that their cause was hopeless.
Confederate.
Those military victories were
Man, the
long
Confederate Army
lived.
got clapped.
In many parts of the South,
Tryhards.
Reconstruction did not begin until 1865. (17-1) War.
Oh, now I have to go to the next page.
(17-1A) Radical Republicans and Reconstruction. Growing opposition within Lincoln's own party slowed the process as well. Many Republicans believed that white men who had fought against the Union should not be rewarded with restoration of their political rights, while black men who had fought for the Union were denied those rights. Radical Republicans, led by Thaddeus Stevens in the House and Charles Sumner in the Senate, distrusted oaths of allegiance sworn by ex-Confederates. Rather than simply restoring the old ruling class to power, asked Sumner, why not give freed slaves the vote, to provide a genuinely loyal nucleus of supporters in the South? If the freed people were landless, some radical Republicans said, provide them with land by confiscating the plantations of leading Confederates as punishment for treason. These radical positions did not command a majority of Congress in 1864. Yet the experience of Louisiana, the first state to reorganize under Lincoln's more moderate policy, convinced even non-radical Republicans to block Lincoln's program. Enough white men in the occupied portion of the state took the oath of allegiance to satisfy Lincoln's conditions. They adopted a new state constitution and formed a government that abolished slavery and provided a school system for blacks. But despite Lincoln's private appeal to the new government to grant literate blacks and black Union soldiers the right to vote, the reconstructed Louisiana legislature chose not to do so. It also authorized planters to enforce restrictive labor policies on black plantation workers. Louisiana's actions alienated a majority of congressional Republicans, who refused to admit representatives and senators from the reconstructed state. At the same time, though, Congress failed to enact a Reconstruction policy of its own. This was not for lack of trying. In fact, both houses passed the Wade-Davis Reconstruction Bill, named for Senator Benjamin Wade of Ohio and Representative Henry Winter Davis of Maryland, in July 1864. That bill did not enfranchise, to grant the right to vote. 1/1 on this page. Blacks. But it did impose such stringent loyalty requirements on Southern whites that few of them could take the required oath. Lincoln therefore vetoed it. Lincoln's action infuriated many Republicans, and the bitter squabble threatened for a time to destroy Lincoln's chances of being re-elected. Union military success in fall 1864, however, reunited the Republicans behind Lincoln. The collapse of Confederate military resistance the following spring set the stage for compromise between the President and Congress on a policy for the post-war South. 2 days after Appomattox, Lincoln promised that he would soon announce such a policy, which probably would have included voting rights for some blacks and stronger measures to protect their civil rights. But 3 days later, Lincoln was assassinated. (17-2) Andrew Johnson and Reconstruction. Q. What were the positions of Presidents Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson and of the moderate and radical Republicans in Congress on the issues of restoring the South to the Union and protecting the rights of freed slaves? In 1864, Republicans had adopted the name Union Party to attract the votes of war Democrats and border state Unionists who could not bring themselves to vote Republican. For the same reason, they also nominated Andrew Johnson of Tennessee as Lincoln's running mate. Of poor white heritage, Johnson had clawed his way up in the rough-and-tumble politics of East Tennessee. This region of small farms and few slaves held little love for the planters who controlled the state. Andrew Johnson denounced the planters as stuck-up aristocrats who had no empathy with the Southern yeomen, for whom Johnson became a self-appointed spokesman. Johnson, although a Democrat, was the only senator from a seceding state who refused to support the Confederacy. For this stance, the Republicans rewarded him with the vice presidential nomination, hoping to attract the votes of pro-war Democrats and Upper South Unionists. Booth's bullet therefore elevated to the presidency a man who still thought of himself as primarily a party that was mostly Republican and Northern was not immediately apparent, however. In fact, Johnson's enmity toward the stuck-up aristocrats whom he blamed for leading the South into secession prompted him to utter dire threats. Traitors must be impoverished. They must not only be punished, but their social power must be destroyed. Radical Republicans liked the sound of this. Johnson seemed to promise the type of Reconstruction they favored, one that would deny political power to ex-Confederates and would enfranchise blacks. They envisioned a coalition between these new black voters and a small minority of Southern whites who had never supported the Confederacy. These men could be expected to vote Republican. Republican governments in Southern states would guarantee freedom and would pass laws to provide civil rights and economic opportunity for freed slaves. They would also strengthen the Republican Party nationally. (17-2A) Johnson's policy. From a combination of pragmatic, partisan, and idealistic motives, therefore, radical Republicans prepared to implement a progressive Reconstruction policy. But Johnson unexpectedly refused to cooperate. Instead of calling Congress into special session, he moved ahead on his own. On May 29, 1865, Johnson issued officials and military officers, and those ex-Confederates with taxable property worth $20,000 or more, the stuck-up aristocrats. The second named a provisional governor for North Carolina and directed him to call an election of delegates to frame a new state constitution. Only white men who had received amnesty and taken an oath of allegiance could vote. Similar proclamations soon followed for other former Confederate states. Johnson's policy was clear. He would exclude both blacks and upper-class whites from the Reconstruction process. Although at first many Republicans supported Johnson's policy, the radicals were dismayed. They feared that restricting the vote to whites would lead to oppression of the newly freed slaves and restoration of the old power structure in the South. They began to sense that Johnson, who had owned slaves, was as dedicated to white supremacy as any Confederate. White men alone must govern the South, he told a Democratic senator. After a tense confrontation with a group of black men led by Frederick Douglass, who had visited the White House to urge black suffrage, Johnson told his private secretary, "I know that damn Douglass. He's just like any nigger, and he would sooner cut
God,
a man's
okay.
throat than not."
Oh,
17.2
shit.
left. And 15.2
historical sets?
right.
Nope, don't.
Andrew Johnson and Frederick Douglass.
Oh,
Details.
God.
A portrait of Andrew
Damn it,
Johnson.
dude.
He wears a black jacket and a white shirt.
You know, I'm gonna... Oh, God. Is there any more of this? I don't think so.
A portrait of Frederick Douglass. He wears a black jacket and a white shirt. Q. How did Johnson's resistance to black voting rights become a factor in his impeachment 2 years later? Library of Congress, Prints and Photographs Division. By 1866, the president and the leading black advocate for equal rights represented opposite poles in the debate about Reconstruction. Johnson, left, wanted to bring the South back into the Union on the basis of white suffrage. Douglas, right, wanted black men to be granted the right to vote. Moderate Republicans believed that black men should participate to some degree in the Reconstruction process, but in 1865 they were not yet prepared to break with the president. They regarded his policy as an experiment that would be modified as time went on.
Okay, hopefully that doesn't happen again. I think we're safe on this page. I mean, at least it's a historical sense, so it's not like...
17-2B. Southern Defiance. As it happened, none of the state conventions enfranchised a single black. Some of them even balked at ratifying the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. Reports from the South told of neo-Confederate violence against blacks and their white sympathizers. Johnson seemed to encourage such activities by allowing the organization of white militia units. Then there was the matter of presidential pardons. After talking fiercely about punishing traitors, and after excluding several classes of them from his amnesty proclamation, Johnson began to issue special pardons to many ex-Confederates, restoring to them all property and political rights. Under the new state constitutions, Southern voters were electing hundreds of ex-Confederates to state offices. Even more alarming to Northerners, who thought they had won the war, was the election to Congress of no fewer than 9 ex-Confederate congressmen, 7 ex-Confederate state officials, 4 generals, 4 colonels, and even the former Confederate Vice President, Alexander H. Stephens. Somehow the aristocrats and traitors Johnson had denounced in April had taken over the Reconstruction process. They did so by flattering the presidential ego. Thousands of prominent ex-Confederates applied for pardons, confessing the error of their ways and appealing for presidential mercy. Johnson reveled in his power over these once haughty aristocrats. Johnson also received praise and support from leading Northern Democrats. Although the Republicans had placed him on their presidential ticket in 1864, Johnson was after all a Democrat. That party's leaders enticed Johnson with visions of re-election as a Democrat in 1868 if he could manage to reconstruct the South in a manner that would preserve a Democratic majority there. (17-2C). The Black Codes. That was just what the Republicans feared. In the fall of 1865,
it's kind of weird to remember that the Republicans stood for social rights. Now it doesn't seem like that much anymore.
Close to slavery was confirmed when some of those governments enacted Black Codes. Black Codes. Laws passed by Southern states that restricted the rights and liberties of former slaves. 1/2 on this page next. One of the first tasks of the legislatures of the reconstructed states was to define the rights of 4 million former slaves. The option of treating them exactly like white citizens was scarcely considered. Instead, the states excluded black
Scarcely
people from
means
juries
scarcely?
and the ballot box, did not permit them to testify against whites in court, banned interracial marriage, and punished blacks more severely than whites for certain crimes. Some states defined any unemployed black person as a vagrant and hired him out to a planter, forbade blacks to lease land, and provided for the apprenticing to whites of black youths. These black codes aroused anger among Northern Republicans, who saw them as a brazen attempt to reinstate a quasi-slavery. Quasi-slavery. Position that resembled slavery, such as that created by the Black Codes. Proof 2 halves on this page. "We tell the white men of Mississippi," declared the Chicago Tribune, "that the men of the North will convert the state of Mississippi into a frog pond before they will allow such laws to disgrace 1 foot of the soil in which the bones of our soldiers sleep and over which the flag of freedom waves." And in fact, the Union Army's occupation forces did suspend the implementation of black codes that discriminated on racial grounds. (17-2D) Land and labor in the post-war South. The black codes, although discriminatory, were designed to address a genuine problem. The end of the war had left black-white relations in the South in a state of limbo. The South's economy was in a shambles. Burned-out plantations, fields growing up in weeds, and railroads without tracks, bridges, or rolling stock marked the trail of war. Nearly half of the livestock in the former Confederacy and most other tangible assets except the land had been destroyed. Law and order broke down in many areas. The war had ended early enough in the spring to allow the planting of at least some food crops. But who would cultivate them? 1/4 of the South's white farmers had been killed in the war. The slaves were slaves no more. "We have nothing left to begin anew with," lamented a South Carolina planter. "I never did a day's work in my life, and I don't know how to begin." Despite all of this trouble, life went on. Soldiers' widows and their children plowed and planted. Slaveless planters and their wives calloused their hands for the first time. Confederate veterans drifted home and went to work. Former slave owners asked their former slaves to work the land for wages or shares of the crop, and many did so. Others refused, because for them an essential part of freedom was leaving the place where they had been in bondage. Thus, the roads were alive with freed people who were on the move in summer 1865. Many of them signed on to work at farms just a few miles from their old homes. Others moved into town. Some looked for relatives who had been sold away during slavery or from whom they had been separated during the war. Some wandered aimlessly. Crime increased as people, both blacks and whites, stole food to survive, and as whites organized vigilante groups to discipline blacks and force them to work.
What the hell? Oh, it's my wallet.
(17-2E) The Freedmen's Bureau. Into this vacuum stepped the U.S. Army and the Freedmen's Bureau. Freedmen's Bureau. Federal agency created in 1865 to supervise newly freed people. It oversaw relations between whites and blacks in the South, issued food rations, and supervised labor contracts. 1/3 on this page next. Tens of thousands of troops remained in the South as an occupation force until civil government could be restored. Refugees, freedmen, and abandoned lands, created by Congress in March 1865, became a principal agency for overseeing relations between former slaves and owners. Headed by the anti-slavery General Oliver O. Howard and staffed by Army officers, the Bureau established posts throughout the South to supervise free labor wage contracts between landowners and freed people. The Freedmen's Bureau also issued food rations to 150,000 people daily during 1865, 1/3 of them to whites. Southern whites viewed the Freedmen's Bureau with hostility. Without it, however, the post-war chaos and devastation in the South would have been much greater, as some whites privately admitted. Bureau agents used their influence with freed people to encourage them to sign free labor contracts and return to work. 17.3 The Freedmen's Bureau. Details. An illustration of a Caucasian man in uniform with arm extended, holding back an armed mob from a group of also armed African Americans. An American flag waves in the background. Q. How does this 1868 Harper's Weekly illustration celebrate the Freedmen's Bureau? Library of Congress, Prints and Photographs Division. Created in 1865, the Freedmen's Bureau stood between freed slaves and their former masters in the post-war South, charged with the task of protecting freed people from injustice and
Free
repression.
people.
Staffed by officers of the Union Army, the Bureau symbolized the military power of the government in its efforts to keep peace in the South. In negotiating labor contracts, the Bureau tried to establish minimum wages. Lack of money in the South, however, caused many contracts to call for share wages. Share wages. Payment of workers' wages with a share of the crop rather than with cash. Proof 2/3 on this page next. That is, paying workers with shares of the crop. At first, landowners worked their laborers in large groups, called gangs. But many black workers resented this arrangement as reminiscent of slavery. Thus, a new system evolved, called sharecropping, whereby a black family worked a specific piece of land in return for a share of the crop produced on it. -2F. Land for the landless. Freed people, of course,
Freed
would
people.
have preferred to own the land they farmed.
I can't get over that.
Some black farmers did manage to save up enough money to buy small plots of land. Demobilized black soldiers purchased land with their bounty payments, sometimes pooling their money to buy an entire plantation on which several black families settled. Northern philanthropists helped some freedmen buy land. But most ex-slaves found the purchase of land impossible. Few of them had money, and even if they did, whites often refused to sell their land because it would mean losing a source of cheap labor and encouraging notions of black independence.
Whoa.
Several Northern radicals proposed legislation to confiscate ex-Confederate land and redistribute it to free people, but those proposals went nowhere. The most promising effort to put thousands of slaves on land of their own also failed. In January 1865, after his march through Georgia, General William T. Sherman had issued a military order setting aside thousands of acres of abandoned plantation land in the Georgia and South Carolina Low Country for settlement by freed slaves. The Army even turned over some of its surplus mules to black farmers. The expectation of 40 acres and a mule. 40 acres and a mule. Largely unfulfilled hope of many former slaves that they would receive free land from the confiscated property of ex-Confederates. 1/1 on this page. Excited freed people in 1865, but President Johnson's amnesty proclamation and his wholesale issuance of pardons restored most of this property to pardoned ex-Confederates. The same thing happened to white-owned land elsewhere in the South. Placed under the temporary care of the Freedmen's Bureau for subsequent possible distribution to free people. By 1866, nearly all of this land had been restored to its former owners by order of President Johnson.
I'm building a fence right now to keep my dinos in.
(17 to 2 grams). Churches and schools. One of the success
17
stories of
to 2 grams?
Reconstruction was
What?
the founding of churches and schools by freedmen and freedwomen. Eager to move away from the control of whites, blacks founded numerous African Methodist Episcopal (AME) churches, as well as other denominations, across the South. In addition to being sites of worship, these churches became vital community centers, in which African Americans could also hone political skills. In some places, churches became the sites of Republican Party convocations. Likewise, freedmen and freedwomen were instrumental in founding schools across the South. Especially in rural areas away from towns or large plantations, black men and women had to take the initiative themselves to build schoolhouses and hire teachers. Elsewhere, the Freedmen's Bureau, hand in hand with freed people and Northern abolitionists, worked to set up schools. 17.4 A black school during Reconstruction. Details. A photograph of an African American woman standing in a room where African American children write at desks. Hats are hung on the plank wall, and a pipe stove is in the center of the room. Library of Congress.
Oh my
Prints and
God, school's
Photographs
barely
Division.
changed since then.
In
That's
the antebellum
embarrassing.
South, teaching slaves to read and write was forbidden. Thus, about 90% of the freed people were illiterate in 1865. One of their top priorities was education. At first, most of the teachers in the freedmen schools established by Northern missionary societies were Northern white women, but as black teachers were trained, they took over the elementary schools, such as this one, photographed in the 1870s. During the war, Northern Freedmen's Aid Societies and missionary societies founded by abolitionists had sent teachers to Union-occupied areas of the South to set up schools for freed slaves. Now, this effort was expanded. 2,000 Northern teachers, 3/4 of them women, fanned out into every part of the South, working with freed people and the Freedmen's Bureau. As freed women in particular gained education as teachers, they staffed the mission schools and later the public schools established by Reconstruction state governments. By 1867, African Americans comprised 1/3 of the teachers in freedmen's schools, and their numbers continued to grow. After 1870, the missionary societies concentrated more heavily on making higher education available to African Americans. Many of the traditionally black colleges in the South today were founded and supported by their efforts. This education crusade, which the black leader W.E.B. Du Bois described as the most wonderful peace battle of the 19th century, reduced the Southern black illiteracy rate to 70% by 1880 and to 48% by 1900.
Not bad. Let's keep going.
17-3. The advent of Congressional Reconstruction. Q. What were the major accomplishments of Congressional Reconstruction? Political Reconstruction shaped the civil and political rights of freed people. By the time Congress met in December 1865, the Republican majority was determined to control the process by which former Confederate states would regain full representation. Congress refused to admit the representatives and senators elected by the former Confederate states under Johnson's Reconstruction policy and set up a special committee to formulate new terms. The committee held hearings at which Southern Unionists, freed people, and U.S. Army officers testified to abuse and terrorism in the South. Their testimony convinced Republicans of the need for stronger federal intervention to define and protect the civil rights of freed people. Many radicals wanted to go further and grant the ballot to black men. Most Republicans realized that Northern voters would not support such a radical policy. However, racism was still strong in the North, where most states denied the right to vote to the few blacks living within their borders. Moderate Republicans feared that Democrats would exploit Northern racism in the congressional elections of 1866 if Congress made black suffrage a cornerstone of Reconstruction. Instead, the special committee decided to draft a constitutional amendment that would encourage Southern states to enfranchise blacks but would not require them to do so.
Oh, shoot. Oh, we got that one.
(17-3A). Schism between President and
Sorry, guys. Had to, you know.
17
Oh, nope.
17-3B, the 14th Amendment. Johnson had thrown down the gauntlet to congressional Republicans, and they did not hesitate to take it up. With more than a two-thirds majority in both houses, they passed the Freedmen's Bureau and Civil Rights bills over the president's vetoes. Then on April 30, 1866, the special committee submitted to Congress its proposed 14th Amendment to the Constitution. After lengthy debate, the amendment received the required two-thirds majority in Congress on June 13 and went to the states for ratification. Section 1 defined all native-born or naturalized persons, including blacks, as American citizens and prohibited the states from abridging the privileges and immunities of citizens, from depriving any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, and from denying to any person the equal protection of the laws. Section 2 gave states the option of either enfranchising black males or losing a proportionate number of congressional seats and electoral votes. Section 3 disqualified a significant number of ex-Confederates from holding federal or state office. Section 4 guaranteed the national debt, empowered Congress to enforce the 14th Amendment by appropriate legislation. The 14th Amendment had far-reaching consequences. Section 1 has become the most important provision in the Constitution for defining and enforcing civil rights. 17.5 Cartoons for Freedom. Details. A two-panel illustration. The left panel shows a crowned woman with loose hair in a white dress, looking exasperated at a group of Caucasian men in suits. The caption reads, "Pardon Columbia, shall I trust these men?" The right panel shows the same woman motioning to an African-American man on crutches, with an amputated leg. The caption reads, "Franchise, and not this man?" Q. What other visual details does Nast's illustration include to make an argument for black male enfranchisement? Copyright Stock Montage, Incorporated. Nast, Thomas, 1840-1902/Library of Congress Prints and Photographs Division, LCH 62-100 2257. One of the best political cartoonists in American history, Thomas Nast drew scores of cartoons for Harper's Weekly in the 1860s and 1870s advocating the use of federal power to guarantee the liberty and enforce the equal rights of freed slaves. This illustration, 1865, is an eloquent graphic expression of a powerful argument for giving freedmen the right to vote. Black men who fought for the Union were more deserving of this privilege than white men who fought against it. Several of the kneeling figures are recognizable Confederate leaders, Alexander Stephens and Robert E. Lee in the foreground, Jefferson Davis to Lee's left, and John C. Breckinridge, Joseph E. Johnston, and Robert Toombs behind and to Davis's left.
I need 6 more of those railings.
(17-4C). The 1866 elections. Republicans entered the 1866 congressional elections campaign with the 14th Amendment as their platform. They made clear that any ex-Confederate state that ratified the amendment would be declared reconstructed and that its representatives and senators would be seated in Congress. Tennessee ratified the amendment, but Johnson counseled other Southern legislatures to reject the amendment, which they did. Johnson then prepared for an all-out campaign to gain a friendly Northern majority in the congressional elections. Johnson began his campaign by creating a national Union Party made up of a few conservative Republicans who disagreed with their party, some border state Unionists who supported the president, and Democrats. But many Northern Democrats still carried the taint of having opposed the war effort, and most Northern voters did not trust them. Further, race riots in Memphis and New Orleans, with white mobs attacking blacks, bolstered Republican arguments that national power was necessary to protect the fruits of victory in the South. Perhaps the biggest liability of the National Union Party was Johnson. In a whistle-stop tour through the North, he traded insults with hecklers and embarrassed his supporters by comparing himself to Christ and his Republican adversaries to Judas. Republicans swept the election. They gained a 3-to-1 majority in the next Congress. Having rejected the Reconstruction terms embodied in the 14th Amendment, Southern Democrats now faced far more stringent terms. They would not cooperate in rebuilding what they destroyed, wrote an exasperated moderate Republican, so we must remove the rubbish and rebuild from the bottom. Whether they are willing or not, we must compel obedience to the Union and demand protection for its humblest citizen.
Right, you should see my stream. Okay, I did a little bit of extra work, but I added a pen on the side. So I think it's reasonably sized. This is the best build I've ever done in ARK. See it?
(17-3D). The Reconstruction Acts of 1867. In March 1867, the new Congress enacted over Johnson's vetoes 2 laws prescribing new procedures for the full restoration of the former Confederate states to the Union. The Reconstruction Acts of 1867 divided the 10 southern states into 5 military districts, directed Army officers to register voters for the election of delegates to new constitutional conventions, and enfranchised males aged 21 and older, including blacks, to vote in those elections. When a state had adopted a new constitution that granted equal civil and political rights regardless of race and had ratified the 14th Amendment, it would be declared reconstructed, and its newly elected congressmen would be seated. These measures embodied a true revolution. Just a few years earlier, Southern whites had been masters of 4 million slaves and part of an independent Confederate nation. Now they were shorn of political power, with their former slaves not only free but also politically empowered. In 1867, the emancipation and enfranchisement of black Americans seemed, as a sympathetic French journalist described it, one of the most radical revolutions known in history. Like most revolutions, the Reconstruction process did not go smoothly. Many Southern Democrats breathed defiance and refused to cooperate. The presence of the Army minimized anti-black violence, but thousands of white Southerners who were eligible to vote refused to do so, hoping that their non-participation would delay the process long enough for Northern voters to come to their senses and elect Democrats to Congress. Blacks and their white allies organized Union Leagues. Union Leagues. Organizations that informed African American voters of, and mobilized them to, support the Republican Party. 1/3 on this page next. To inform and mobilize the new black voters into the Republican Party. Democrats branded Southern white Republicans as scalawags and Northern settlers as carpetbaggers. By September 1867, the 10 states had 735,000 black voters and only 635,000 white voters registered. At least 1/3 of the registered white voters were Republicans. President Johnson did everything he could to block Reconstruction. He replaced several Republican generals in command of Southern military districts with Democrats. He had his Attorney General issue a ruling that interpreted the Reconstruction Acts narrowly, thereby forcing a special session of Congress to pass a supplementary act in July 1867. He encouraged Southern whites to obstruct the registration of voters and the election of convention delegates. Johnson's purpose was to slow the process until 1868 in the hope that Northern voters would repudiate Reconstruction in the presidential election of that year, when Johnson planned to run as the Democratic candidate. Off-year state elections in fall 1867 encouraged that hope. Republicans suffered setbacks in several Northern states, especially where they endorsed referendum measures to enfranchise black men. 17.6 The burning of a freedmen's school. Details. An illustration of a burning one-story building, surrounded by a cheering armed crowd. In the background, a few people flee the building. The title reads, New York, Saturday, May 26, 1866. Library of Congress, Prints and Photographs Division. Because freed people's education symbolized black progress, whites who resented and resisted this progress sometimes attacked and burned freedmen's schools. This dramatic Harper's Weekly illustration shows a white mob burning a school during anti-black riots in Memphis in May 1866. What they said: black codes versus black politics. At first, during Reconstruction, white Southerners attempted to rewrite the legal and racial system as close to slavery as possible. But after the passage of the Reconstruction Acts of 1867, African Americans met in conventions throughout the South to affirm a politics of freedom. These two selections trace the differences between white and black ideas of freedom after emancipation. From the Mississippi Black Code, November 1865. Section 2. Be it further enacted, that all freedmen, free Negroes, and mulattoes in the state over the age of 18 years found on the second Monday in January 1866 or thereafter, with no lawful employment or business, or found unlawfully assembling themselves together either in the day or night time, and all white persons so assembling with freedmen, free Negroes, or mulattoes, or usually associating with freedmen, free Negroes, or mulattoes on terms of equality, or living in adultery or fornication with a freedwoman, free Negro, or mulatto, shall be deemed vagrants, and, on conviction thereof, shall be fined in the sum of not exceeding, in the case of a freedman, free Negro, or mulatto, $150, and a white man, $200, and imprisoned at the discretion of the court, the free Negro not exceeding 10 days, and the white man not exceeding 6 months. Address of the Colored Convention to the People of Alabama, 1867. As there seems to be considerable difference of opinion concerning the legal rights of the colored man, it will not be amiss to say that we claim exactly the same rights, privileges, and immunities as are enjoyed by white men. We ask nothing more and will be content with nothing less. All legal distinctions between the races are now abolished. The word white is stricken from our laws. So long as a park or a street is a public park or street, the entire public has the right to use it. So long as a car or a steamboat is a public conveyance, it must carry all who come to it, and serve all alike who pay alike. The law no longer knows white nor black, but simply men, and consequently we are entitled to ride in public conveyances, hold office, sit on juries, and do everything else which we have in the past been prevented from doing solely on the ground of our color. Q. What white anxieties regarding post-emancipation society are expressed in Mississippi's Black Code? Q. How do these two documents define the legal rights of blacks differently? Sources. Top. Mississippi Black Code, November 1865. Middle. Address of the Colored Convention to the People of Alabama, 1867. Bottom. Excerpt from U.S. Attorney General's reply to Governor Delbert H's request for troops, 1875.
So apparently the beaver holds stone at half weight. I never knew that. That's very useful.
(17-4). The impeachment of Andrew Johnson. Q. Why was Andrew Johnson impeached? Why was he acquitted? Johnson struck even more boldly against Reconstruction after the 1867 elections. What does Johnson mean to do? An exasperated Republican asked another. I am afraid his doings will make us all favor impeachment. In February, Edwin M. Stanton, who had administered the War Department in support of the Congressional Reconstruction policy. This appeared to violate the Tenure of Office Act, passed
oh my God, they laid an egg.
Veto, which required Senate consent for such removals. By a
And
vote
pooped
of
on it.
126 to 47 along party lines, the House impeached Johnson on February 24. The official reason for impeachment was that he had violated the Tenure of Office Act, which Johnson considered unconstitutional. The real reason was Johnson's stubborn defiance of Congress on Reconstruction. Under the U.S. Constitution, Impeachment by the House does not remove an official from office. It is more like a grand jury indictment that must be tried by a petty jury, in this case, the Senate, which sat as a court to try Johnson on the impeachment charges brought by the House. If convicted by a 2/3 majority of the Senate, he would be removed from office. The impeachment trial proved long and complicated, which worked in Johnson's favor by allowing passions to cool. The Constitution specifies the grounds on which a president can be impeached and removed: treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. The issue was whether Johnson was guilty of any of these acts. His able defense counsel exposed technical ambiguities in the Tenure of Office Act that raised doubts about whether Johnson had actually violated it. Several moderate Republicans feared that the precedent of impeachment might upset the delicate balance of powers between the executive branch, Congress, and the judiciary that was an essential element of the Constitution. Behind the scenes, Johnson strengthened his case by promising to appoint the respected General John N. Schofield as Secretary of War and to stop obstructing the Reconstruction Acts. In the end, 7 Republican senators plus all Democrats voted for acquittal on May 16, and the final tally fell 1 vote short of the necessary 2/3 majority.
Crap, now I'm stuck. I really want to baby this egg, like Sid from the Ice Age. Okay, I think I know why my baby trike didn't survive. I don't think it had food.
(1867 to 1868).
Alright, so, this egg should be doing good. It's like 23 degrees Celsius outside. And it's a morning, so hopefully it won't get that much hotter. It's doing really good, though. It's about 12 minutes till it hatches. And boom. Fabricator. What is the fabricator, you might ask? The fabricator is a machine used to literally manufacture just about anything. Just about everything and anything. Okay, so let's see. Obsidian cementing paste makes polymer. Hi. Alright, so using the fabricator, we can make polymer. Wait, polymer. Oh, shoot. Gasoline. How do I make gasoline? Fuel. Okay, Wyatt. So put the gasoline in here and there it goes. It's working. Oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot. Alright, so now I can make gasoline. So I need to smelt oil and thatch. Or oil and hide, which is a pretty cheap recipe, except for the oil might take me a while to get. Okay. I want some, need some gunpowder. We're gonna make some bullets. That's right, we're crafting the feared and loved assault rifle. Also known as the fastest way to put holes into a dinosaur. It's actually not as good as I think it is, but I think it's okay. I love the sound. I need to go find an area with like tons of bugs so I can kill them for chitin. Okay. Making some bullets now. I need cementing paste with bad. Man, on episode 10, day 26, I have a fabricator. Now I can basically craft, provided I have the materials, I can craft things like guns, cables, and other advanced material. I saw like a quarter of my food freaking drain. Like, eh. Oh shoot. My baby trike must have hatched by now. It probably died without my attention, no. Did it die? Um... Oh, it did. God darn it. Why does it drop 8 prime meat? Make... I'm gonna bring a bunch of this chitin over. Let's see. $23 cementing paste, okay. I don't know why my trikes keep dying. But it's really sad. Oh my god, there's a box on this island. I haven't even found it.
Megalania muraspeed is among the largest creatures found throughout the island's complicated cave networks. Reaching up to 3 meters long, it can traverse vertically up cave walls with little difficulty thanks to its powerful claws. Fortunately, Megalania's size means it is unlikely to sneak up on anyone. Unfortunately for spelunkers, it is an aggressive and dangerous creature nonetheless. Like other Varanidae, Megalania is a venomous creature. Its poison is slow-acting, but will drain the victim's effective strength and health until death, unless cured by a rare antidote. That said, the Megalania's prey are usually ripped apart well before they succumb to the poison's long-term effects. The rare ability of Megalania to effortlessly climb sheer environmental walls makes it a highly sought-after mount. While it is by no means the fastest, strongest, or toughest prey, the manner in which it can effortlessly scale mountains, clamber up barricades, hide in trees, or upside down, ensures it will always have a place in any circles.
Man, only 8 more paste. I need 19 more of this stuff. Yes, Wyatt. I'm about to get the assault rifle. Let's go. And 3, 2, 1, assault rifle. Here it comes. Finally making an AR. Try it. Oh crap, I first have to take the darn thing out. Crafting that assault rifle just literally gave me... Oh my god, it's so shaky. Its magazine size is 40. Dang. Sorry, That poor parasaur just got absolutely murked. Zero. One. Okay, so it fires like 10 shots a second, and it does 32 damn to a parasaur. So like, what? 320 DPS, I think? That poor parasaur. I'll stop wasting my ammo now. Actually, no, I need food anyway, so yeah. However, it does have a good amount of recoil. That poor parasaur got absolutely lit TF up. Man, damn thing didn't even stand a chance. I mean, what's it called? This could probably kill a level 1 T-Rex, but what, like 3 or 4 seconds? However, it's really imperative that when you have an assault rifle, you should never, ever, 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 ever let the power go to your head. Actually, I'll put this assault rifle in here. I'm gonna go get a bunch of that gunpowder and make bullets. I actually have a ton of gunpowder. And yes, I want to save my metal for building, but I should definitely make bullets. I mean, when you have an island with everything trying to kill you, I think it's imperative to have a ton of ammo and an assault rifle to back yourself. So 1 metal and 9 gunpowder equals 2 bullets. So 1 metal, that's not really that expensive. With 100 metal, I can make 200 bullets. So that's pretty fine. However, I'm going to need to be very, very cautious. I'm going to need gasoline. And gasoline needs oil and hide. Hide is not a big problem, because I could literally just go kill something. I go out and kill a level 4 parasaur for like freaking, what's it called? With a machete and just completely wreck it and get its hide. I do know that like you can color these things. I'm gonna make a cooking pot. I'm gonna try to smelt these in a dye. Yeah, tinted berries will make red dye. Tinto berries are kind of yummy, not gonna lie. How long does it take to get dye? Hopefully, they don't make dye. They should. I know how to make red dye, so I want to see how long it takes to make it. I need to make one of these things. So it says put some charcoal. Put this bad boy in. Now hopefully, oh, there it is, red coloring. That looks cool. Oh, bolts are in the mag. Let's stay there for a second. Yeah, I can color my tools now. Unfortunately, guys, I'm gonna have to part ways. So yeah, when I come back, I'm gonna try to fabricate more of the house, and if I do that, I might go out exploring Metal Mountain. I don't know. See you later.